Hi, this is Todd Malicote, the SEO faculty for Market Motive and online marketing consultant at stuntdouble.com, and today I'm here to talk to you about tracking organic search performance, the when, what, and how of SEO tracking. So with SEO tracking, there's two major questions that we seek to answer. With almost all analytics, all reporting, we just want to know what do we track and how do we track it. So we're going to look at both of those questions and the answers to both of those questions, including the simplest answers are for SEO and tracking search performance. We want to track links, ranking, traffic, conversions, and to a lesser extent for SEO purposes, awareness and engagement. There's a little bit of crossover between social media and search where we want to have at least some gauge and some idea of things like awareness and engagement, but for our primary purposes, we're going to look at links, rankings, traffic, and conversions and how we track each of these individual areas. One of the biggest issues with tracking effectively is getting proper implementation of your software. And in order to do that, you need to start tracking at the baseline. You need to start at whatever day it is you implement your analytics, implement your CRM system, implement your project management system, and you need to do for increments of time, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, a year, etc. But most importantly, you need to log any changes to your website in your project management software so that you can match up when there are changes to when there are changes in traffic, when there are changes in link equity. Any types of changes, you need to be able to track back to the source of what changed and which direction it turned the needle. For good or for bad, you need to know what happened, how it changed it, and if you should do more or less of it. So you really need to be diligent in your research and preparation for your tracking, for your setup. In order to do this, you really need to do your keyword research well. You need to understand that there's three types of queries: informational, transactional, and navigational. And you need to focus on the transactional. Only 10% of queries are in this field, and these are the ones that really have the high conversion rates. They're generally the higher cost per click and that sort of thing. There is room for transactional and informational queries. Navigational are an example of when somebody types in www.ebay.com into the Google search box in order to get to eBay. So your keyword research is really important to the preparation in what you're going to track in Google Analytics, in your different software packages that we'll talk about in just a moment. So make sure you get your tools set up effectively with some baseline metric. But what you're going to want to track and what you're going to want to keep in mind when you're doing the preparation for your tracking is the number of baseline links you have, where you're starting when you start your link development project, how many you have when you're first starting, your initial rankings for keywords. You'll run your rank check software and get an initial rank number for where you're currently ranking, the number of subscribers you have to your RSS feeds or other KPIs and conversion goals similar to this, sales, leads, whatever it may be. Other things you'll track that Avinash speaks to all the time is unique visitors, page views, time on site, bounce rate. All of these are very good indicators of just how well you're performing with your organic search campaigns and with your website in general. Now that you know just a little bit of what you're going to track, we can look at how you're going to track it and the tools that you're going to use and what's going to be most effective for tracking each individual piece of information. So you have some decisions to make: free tools versus paid tools. Sometimes paid tools cost you a little bit more, but free tools can be very time intensive when you have to aggregate a bunch of information and data points from different sources in order to come to conclusions and make decisions. There's a lot of times less reporting features in free tools to justify what you're doing to your superiors. So consider the free tools versus the paid tools. Some examples of this are Omniture versus Google Analytics. Most people don't need Omniture unless you have 10 analysts on site to go through the data. Google Analytics, for the most part, tends to be sufficient. So you can go with a platform, a fully functional platform that does rankings and links and analytics and pulls it all into one place with reporting, or in-house tools where you might just kind of roll your own with free tools and some custom programming. Or there's project management systems like Solo SEO and Raven tools that pull everything in a project management system. SEO Moz does a little bit of this as well. So we're going to look at all the different tools. The ones that I use and that I'm a big fan of, and I've tested lots and lots and lots of tools, literally spent thousands and thousands of dollars on testing all these different tools and doing reviews, and many an hour. So the ones that are currently approved by me and that I get behind the best is SEO Moz, Majestic SEO for competitive backlink analysis. SEO Moz has great community tracking tools, and now they have a campaign system as well. SEO Book for the keyword research tool there is amazing. The community there is really, really fantastic as well. SEMrush, the data that Aaron uses at SEO Book is based on SEMrush data. They have some really amazing data for doing forecasting and putting a dollar figure on what search traffic is worth. Salesforce for CRM, and obviously Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools are very good tools as well. So for overall project management, I like Solo SEO, as I mentioned. Raven Tools is amazing. Basecamp is what I use for just projects, not specific to SEO, and just some variation of Google Docs, if you want free, is a really good way to go for overall project management. So you have to have these tools in place in order to come up with those baseline metrics and in order to have a place to start. And then over time, we're going to be able to make decisions on improvements and changes that occur to us. Make sure you pick some good tools, some tools that will work right for you and for your budget, and then we'll look at exactly what you track specifically within each of these given tools now that we have a good tool set in order to do our performance tracking website. So with links, what are you going to look at with respect to links as your link builders are out there getting new links, soliciting new backlinks? What are you going to use to judge their performance? Certainly not just quantity. Look at inbound links in terms of quantity to the page or the section that you're link building to, but just quantity alone is not enough and it's not important. You need trust and authority. You need to look at how trusted a link is and how authoritative a link is in order to truly gauge and respect how good a job your link builders are doing. The trust of those inbound links, the authority, and finally the anchor text. You are what your links say you are, and if you are targeting specific phrases with high commercial intent, you want to make sure those are what you use for your anchor text. So more specifically with the tools, we're going to track MozRank to the page. We used to use PageRank. It's not effective anymore. Don't use PageRank. Sometimes it looks like it could be a PageRank 7 and it's a PageRank 0. Just track MozRank. MozRank is a wonderful metric. Pay for the tools. They're absolutely wonderful. MozRank, MozTrust, total links and root domains. You can track this all from the toolbar. And then anchor text. We'll look at anchor text and how you can track that in Google Webmaster Central in just a moment. Some other tools that you'll use for tracking links: Open Site Explorer, Yahoo Site Explorer, Technorati are all free ways to track how many, at least the quantity of backlinks that you have. You'll want to get more specific with tracking the authority, trust, and anchor text as well, and you can do that with the paid tools like Linkscape, Majestic SEO, and another free tool that qualifies in the same category is Google Webmaster Central. So Majestic SEO, really fantastic tool. If you've been around for a while, it's great for link reclamation. If you go back and you had a bunch of people link to you and you move some content, you can go back and reclaim those links by understanding that they're linking to a 404 page on your site that no longer exists, and putting up a new site or redirecting that page so you reclaim that link equity. Really great tool with Majestic SEO. You can track your backlinks and your competitors' backlinks. It's easy to get your backlink information, but it's harder and harder to get competitive backlink intelligence, and Majestic SEO is really a wonderful tool for this. We can also look at Google Webmaster Central for our anchor text and for who links to our site. Here's a screenshot here. Really easy to sign up. Free, wonderful tool from Google that they give us to help us with our tracking our links. Open Site Explorer, as I mentioned, free tool from SEO Moz. Fantastic. This is the anchor text from Google Webmaster Central. The only trouble with Webmaster Central is you don't get to choose what you track. They just give you whatever they decide to have you track. So great tool, but you want to supplement Google Webmaster Central as well. You can see what your most linked content is, and you can see as this improves, that's what you can track. You can say, you know what, we had 100,000 links this month or last month, and now we have 110. We know that we've done a pretty good job in building some links this month or this quarter or whatever it is, whatever that time period is. You need to be able to gauge that improvement, and these are the tools that you do it with. So checking rankings, doing rank check software has always been a staple for SEO, and there's specific things that we want to track when we're tracking our rankings, and specific things we want to keep in mind to let our superiors know, or to let the people that we're giving this reports to know, in order that they use this information effectively. So we're going to track directly from our keyword research and our COB analysis that we did earlier on, keyword research to figure out the keywords, and COB analysis to figure out which ones we can actually compete for. Directly from that research, we're going to track our top 20, top 50 terms. We're going to target a handful of pages, maybe 5 to 10 pages, to do link building on, to link build to those specific pages. We're going to track how many links we've improved to each page and how those pages and the home page are shifting in reference to these top terms. And then we're going to get kind of a visibility metric on maybe 500 terms. So the top 20 terms, we might run analysis there once a week or so, and a ranking report there once a week or so. And on the top 500 terms, we might run that once a month or once a quarter to get an overall visibility metric. The software that you see here is Caphion's Advanced Web Ranking. It's probably the best paid tool. It's become one of the standards, mainly because you can see at the top there you can email reports or you can FTP reports, which is very, very important to demonstrate your results to your superior or to your client or to whomever you want to share these reports with. Great paid tool. Webmaster Central, again, will help you with this. You can use a free tool of Rank Checker for Firefox from SEO Book. There's a couple of other free ranking checks, rank check softwares. SEO Moz has one built into their tool set. Almost every tool set suite has this built in as part of the core functionality, but as far as a standalone tool that's not web-based, Advanced Web Ranking is really, really my favorite and has become the norm for SEO consultants. I think it's a couple $100, very, very inexpensive and wonderful software. Being able to check the rankings over time and viewing the evolution over time and viewing visibility, this is what really makes this software great. So the caveats with ranking reports is, as you give these to people, inevitably your rankings are going to go down. And if they're checking these compulsively, they're going to call you on the phone and complain to you every time the rankings go down. This is not what you want. You want to, demonstrate that you're improving, but it's over time. It's a gauge for overall visibility. We don't want somebody freaking out every time we drop 3 places for one of our terms. We want to keep an eye on that, but we got to know it's inevitable too. There's always fluctuation. There's always changes. We want to use these in the long term and know that your ranking reports are a double-edged sword. So when you go into your boss's office and brag every day that you rose 3 spots for 3 months in a row, be prepared when you fall a little bit that they're going to complain and ask you why. So be really careful with ranking reports. Set them up, set them and forget them. Make sure they're there. Make sure you have them so that you can track changes, but don't get carried away with being compulsive about your rankings reports. Next up on the what do we track list, we have traffic. What I'm really looking for most out of analytics is action items, and we can find those action items by knowing what changed, what improved our rankings, what helped us, and we do that by watching Google Analytics on the main points that we talked about earlier. We can also combine this with Google Webmaster Central and really get some important data. If you run AdSense, you can implement that and integrate all 3 and integrate the data from all 3 sources and really have some good information on what's going on with your website. What you track in terms of conversions, Avinash talks about these all the time with KPIs, is leads, sales, RSS subscribers, any type of major action that improves your communication with your prospective client can be deemed a conversion or a key performance indicator. I would love to have Avinash weigh in on this, and I know he's got some great KPIs for measuring each of these specific areas and the documentation on exactly how to customize Google Analytics for your specific needs to your specific website so that you can track your traffic better and understand your users and give them exactly what they're looking for. Conversions are the single most important thing on your website, and you need to know how to track it effectively so you know when there are changes in what you're doing and how they're affecting your users and your bottom line sales or performance. The final way to track conversions is the magical situation that I've seen implemented very, very rarely is Google Analytics and Salesforce together for lead generation websites. It's really a magical integration when it can happen. It's very, very difficult to pull off from what I've seen. it seems like it should be a whole lot simpler, but this is really what you're ultimately going for. For now, focus on getting the Google Analytics implementation, and we'll focus on getting you up to speed on Salesforce as you get further along if you're a lead generation type of site and this is necessary for you. If you're an e-commerce site, a lot of times Salesforce isn't necessary, but when you're doing lead generation, it can be very, very important to tracking those conversions by phone and by other means so that you can break out exactly how effective your search performance is. So we've covered what and how we track links, link performance, link development, rankings, ranking checks, traffic and analytics, and overall conversion so far. I promised a little bit on ideas for how to track awareness and engagement, so we'll look at that. With awareness, really what you're tracking is mentions, and in Majestic SEO you can track mentions, which is just not necessarily the link, but when somebody talks about your site. There's more expensive software. Radian 6 is on the very, very high side for enterprise level companies in order to track their social media mentions. Tracker is kind of on the medium term, and Raven Tools does some of this as well, and is a wonderful suite that I mentioned earlier. So if you're doing social media or social media for SEO, you want to track a little bit something for awareness, and these are the tools that you're going to use for that, and this is what you're going to use to track that. So with engagement, the final metric that we're going to use, the number of comments on the site, the number of comments on other people's site about your site, the length of the comments, the number of contact emails, and potentially that CRM integration that we talked about to gauge just how engaged the people are to your website and the improvement or the lack of improvement for engagement as a metric. Kind of a newer type of thing. Think Twitter and what the response rate is. The response rate on Twitter is very, very low. You a lot of times have very low engagement, but we're seeking to improve this by being more relevant. So it's also a gauge of relevance of your website as to how engaged your customers and visitors are with regards to your website, and you can use this as an overall metric for performance. So finally, some pitfalls in tracking rankings and tracking in general. With regards to ranking, we said there's the pitfalls of letting your boss know about ranking checking and then becoming obsessive about it. It's also a dynamic marketplace. There's many changes and factors that are causing the rankings to go up and down, and it's inevitable, as we mentioned, that those rankings are going to go up and down. Some of the things that can also change the rankings are personalization. If you search in the same browser and you're logged in, Todd Friesen, aka Oilman, has a joke that if you're not getting your top rankings, you just go into your boss's office when you signed in and search for your queries and click on your website a bunch of times, and then you'll rank in the top 10 and they'll be really happy. Of course, no one else is going to see that ranking, so keep that in mind, that if somebody sees that you're ranking number 2 for a phrase and you're really number 20, it might be because of personalization. Localization is another variable that can impact this. If I'm in San Francisco and you're in New York, you may very well see very different results, especially for something like pizza delivery. So you have to keep this in mind as you're doing your ranking checks, as people are doing searches and saying we're seeing our website at this position, etc. There's also vertical creep into the search results, into the organic search, with queries for images and queries for news. We have different vertical search engines from Google or from Yahoo or wherever pushing down the organic search results. So if you search for a product, you'll probably have product search results at the top before you get the organic search, and this can cause detriment to your click-through rates and your overall traffic and to your ranking in general. So keep these things in mind as you're doing rank tracking, as you're seeing your performance and your traffic improve or decrease. These are some other ideas and considerations and pitfalls to keep in mind. Some final considerations for performance tracking: mainly be consistent. Whatever tools you use, stick with those tools. That's why I want you to pick those tools up front, pick the best tools and stick with those tools. You're stuck with whatever you pick a lot of times. So going from one set of analytics to another can be very, very painful and difficult and a long process, and you end up losing a lot of data or not having accurate, reliable data that's consistent. So make sure that when you pick your tools, you stick with them. Forecasting for SEO performance can be very, very tough. SEMrush is one of the great tools. AdWords keyword tool These give you some data points, but they're never very accurate. Word Tracker is another one. You never get great performance numbers. So be very conservative in your forecasting, because it can be very, very difficult. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the Cobb analysis video, where you're doing opposition to benefit analysis and doing kind of a cost analysis of what it's worth to rank for a specific phrase and if it's possible. But be careful with your forecasting when you're developing reports and when you're doing your tracking. Finally, when you're doing rank checks, if you're using the Google API, sometimes it's not very accurate. If you're scraping, sometimes if you're doing screen scraping or just using tools that aren't officially licensed by Google, you can run into issues there where they block the service or something like that. And you also have to remember that if you're using the API or other Google services like Webmaster Central, there's sometimes obfuscation where, similar to toolbar PageRank, it looks like a PageRank 7, but it's actually a PageRank 0. So keep that in mind, that the data isn't always that accurate, and you need to be able to question the data integrity and know when there's something up with it. So we covered how and what do we track. Specifically, we track links, rankings, traffic, and conversions, with a little emphasis on awareness and engagement. And we now know the tools that are effective to track each of these and the areas within these sub-areas that we need to track for organic search performance. Thank you for joining me for this video. I'm Todd Malico, and I appreciate your time.